For every actor who plays the Hollywood game, there's one who refuses to sell out, starting with Joaquin Phoenix, who used Hollywood's biggest night to speak out about dairy cows.
We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for a calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal.
Most winners thank their agents and families. Phoenix used his platform to talk about dairy industry cruelty. Joaquin really didn't give a single F about the Oscar. He just wanted to share his message. His speech shows that he deserves the Oscar. No ego, just pure humbleness. But here's what most people don't know. The next morning, while other actors were doing press tours and attending after parties, Phoenix was already at a Los Angeles slaughterhouse. He gave water to cows headed for slaughter and helped rescue a mother cow and her newborn calf, naming them Liberty and Indigo. In 2020, he was arrested at Jane Fonda's climate protest in Washington, D.C., giving a speech about the environmental cost of animal agriculture before being led away in handcuffs.
And I think sometimes we wonder, what can we do in this fight against climate change?
But Phoenix's most radical act came years earlier, when he convinced the entire entertainment industry that he'd lost his mind. In 2008, he announced he was quitting acting to become a rapper. He appeared on David Letterman's show, looking disheveled, incoherent, wearing sunglasses indoors.
How is that, the beard?
In what way?
Well, is it comfortable? Is it itchy? Are you pleased with it?
I'm okay with it, but now you're making me feel weird about it.
For 2 years, the world thought Joaquin Phoenix had lost his mind. The media mocked him and declared his career finished, but it was all a hoax, a performance art piece for the mockumentary I'm Still Here, meant to show how the media dehumanizes celebrities and turns mental breakdowns into entertainment. Phoenix had intentionally dismantled his public image to expose the cruelty of the industry. More recently, he walked off a Todd Haynes film days before shooting. Phoenix isn't interested in being easy to manage. He loses jobs and money rather than pretend to be someone he's not. But while Phoenix confronts Hollywood directly, Brendan Fraser was forced to fight just to stay in it. Brendan Fraser was unavoidable in the late 90s and early 2000s. The Mummy trilogy, George of the Jungle, Bedazzled. He was charming, likable, and seemed destined for decades of leading man roles. But suddenly, he was gone from the spotlight. For years, people assumed he'd just faded away or made bad career choices. The truth, however, was far darker. In 2003, Philip Burke, then president of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association, allegedly groped Fraser at a Beverly Hills luncheon. I felt ill. I felt like a little kid. I felt like there was a ball in my throat. I thought I was going to cry. I became depressed. It made me feel reclusive. Fraser never changed his story. He never apologized for speaking up, and Hollywood punished him for it. Fewer roles came in, some projects moved on without him, and people in the industry began labeling him as difficult. The HFPA dismissed his account, and Fraser kept saying exactly what he'd said from the start. His health was also declining from years of stunt work. He went through multiple surgeries, dealt with a divorce, and lost his mother. Hollywood sidelined him. For most audiences, it felt like he'd vanished. The Whale was the first time people really paid attention to him again. The performance brought Fraser back into awards conversations, and when Golden Globe nominations were announced, his name was included. But Fraser made something immediately clear.
My mother didn't raise a hypocrite. I don't know if I could have, in good conscience, received an award from them under the circumstances.
Even with a career comeback on the line, Fraser refused to attend the Golden Globes because of his history with the HFPA. This world needs more people like Brendan Fraser. In 2023, he won the Oscar for Best Actor.
I want to tell you that only whales can swim at the depth of the talent of Hong Chow.
He never thanked the HFPA. He never played the "it's all behind us now" game. Greatest comeback in history. This was one of the most deserving Best Lead Actor wins I've ever seen. While Fraser fought to be heard, Steve Buscemi chose silence over spectacle. On September 11th, 2001, Steve Buscemi was in Los Angeles. He was already well known from Reservoir Dogs, Fargo, The Big Lebowski, and The Sopranos. He didn't have any reason to go back to New York. But before any of that, he'd been a firefighter. At 18, he joined FDNY Engine Company 55 in Little Italy, one of the busiest firehouses in the city. He worked there for 4 years before leaving to pursue acting. After the towers fell, many public figures were encouraged to step forward, speak on camera, or be seen helping. Buscemi didn't do any of that. On September 12th, he simply showed up at his old firehouse.
When 9/11 happened, that connection just came flooding back, and I was really concerned about my company and other firefighters that I knew. The morning of the 12th, I went to my old firehouse just to see what happened and if I could just offer any help to the firehouse.
For days, he worked 12-hour shifts at Ground Zero, digging through rubble, searching for survivors and remains. He didn't give interviews, wouldn't pose for photos, and asked cameras to back off. He wasn't looking for attention. People only heard about it years later because other firefighters talked about it. I had no idea he was a firefighter and was also at Ground Zero on 9/11. I have a whole new level of respect for Steve. Hollywood gave him every opportunity to become the face of 9/11 heroism, but he ignored all of that and showed up as firefighter Buscemi from Engine 55. Steve Buscemi is a true celebrity. He uses his money, privilege, and power to positively impact people around him just to make the world a better place. When he finally spoke publicly about that period, he didn't focus on what he'd done. He talked about his own PTSD and the ongoing struggles first responders were facing. But if Buscemi walked away from attention, Dave Chappelle walked away from $50 million. In 2005, Dave Chappelle was offered $50 million to continue Chappelle's show for 2 more seasons. He turned it down and left the country.
Money is the fuel for choices. Money gives me choices. So that's not nothing, it's something. I can choose when I want my kids to go to school. I can choose what I want to eat in a given day. It's not the end, but it's not the end all be all. There are other things in my life that I did not purchase with money that are very valuable.
Chappelle's show was one of the most influential comedy programs ever made. It generated massive ratings, shaped an entire generation's sense of humor, and made Comedy Central a cultural powerhouse. But Chappelle saw something that terrified him. His satire was being misunderstood. White audiences weren't laughing with the commentary on social bias, they were laughing at the stereotypes. The sketches that were supposed to call out these issues were ending up reinforcing them instead. So at the absolute peak of his career, with generational wealth on the table, Dave Chappelle chose integrity over money. Years later, he admitted the cost of that choice.
I was walking away from the circumstances with the newfound plateau.
Yeah.
It was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14. I've heard the stories, seen these kinds of things play out in front of me. I mean, you see it before. Look, Carrey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazier.
The industry's response was immediate. Chappelle was labeled unstable and irresponsible. Other comedians questioned his sanity. The industry essentially blacklisted him for breaking the rules. When he returned with Netflix specials, the controversy followed. The closer sparked walkouts and accusations of transphobia. Chappelle refused to apologize, framing it as artistic freedom against corporate censorship. While Chappelle rejected fame's corruption, Jim Carrey rejected fame's meaning entirely. The year 1994 made Jim Carrey a global phenomenon. Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber collectively grossed $706.1 million worldwide, making him the first actor to earn $20 million per film. But at the peak of his fame, Carrey started trying to destroy the character that made him famous.
I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion.
After the Sandy Hook shooting in 2012, Carrey publicly withdrew support from Kick-Ass 2, a movie he'd already filmed and been paid for, because he no longer felt comfortable with its violence. The studio was furious. Fans accused him of hypocrisy, but Carrey didn't care. He'd changed his mind, and he wasn't going to pretend otherwise for money. By the mid-2000s, Carrey had become publicly obsessed with the idea that Jim Carrey didn't actually exist, that the persona he'd built was a fiction.
There's no meaning to any of this, so I wanted to find the most meaningless thing that I could come to and join, and here I am. I mean, you gotta admit, it's completely meaningless.
The man climbed up to the highest level of Hollywood to find out it's all nothing but a joke. You have my respect. But if Carrey rejected his persona voluntarily, Cillian Murphy rejected celebrity culture itself. Cillian Murphy won an Oscar for Oppenheimer, played Tommy Shelby in Peaky Blinders, and became one of the most recognizable actors in the world. But after all that, he went back to Dublin and chose a quieter life. Murphy has no social media. He avoids endorsements, doesn't do press junkets unless contractually required, and lives nothing like a movie star.
He's the worst celebrity in the world. He's the best actor in the world, and he's the worst celebrity in the world.
When his son started developing posh English accents while living in London, Murphy and his wife moved the entire family back to Ireland.
And then we wanted the kids to be Irish. You know, when they were sort of at that age where they were pre-teens, they had very posh English accents, and I wasn't appreciating that too much, so we decided to come back.
The move meant losing access to auditions, industry events, and the constant networking that sustains Hollywood careers. Murphy chose his children's normalcy over professional optimization. His introverted, reserved interview style has led to him being labeled as having reservations or being a challenging interview. However, Murphy clarified in GQ, "Not really. I love talking about work, about art. What I struggle with and find unnecessary and unhelpful about what I want to do is tell me about yourself." But while Murphy quietly avoided the spotlight, Chadwick Boseman used his to lift others. Even while dying, Chadwick Boseman played some of the most iconic roles of the last decade, including T'Challa and Jackie Robinson. Even with that level of fame, he didn't make it about himself. When he starred in 21 Bridges, the studio refused to pay his co-star Sienna Miller her requested salary. Without telling her, Boseman gave up part of his own paycheck to meet her number.
Actress Sienna Miller told Empire magazine that Boseman made sure she was paid fairly for their film 21 Bridges. Miller said she was not given the salary she'd requested, so Boseman took a pay cut to get her to the right amount.
She is confirming that he was a true hero on and off screen. Honestly, nothing else about this man will surprise me. He was just such a wonderful human being. He deserves all the praise he is getting. Through all those films, including multiple physically demanding Marvel movies, Boseman was quietly fighting colon cancer.
Purpose is an essential element of you. It is the reason you are on the planet at this particular time in history.
When he passed in August 2020, the news hit hard because nobody outside his circle knew he'd been sick. His family later explained he'd been battling cancer for 4 years. He could have gone public. The outpouring of support would have been enormous. But Boseman chose privacy, dignity, and protecting his work from becoming defined by his illness.